Hello dear students, I am Dr. Soumya Das, Associate Professor, Noida Institute of Engineering and Technology, Greater Noida. We all know we are discussing the subject, the elective final year subject pharmacovigilance with code BP 805 ET. So, today we are going to take our next lecture, lecture 10 of unit 2 on the topic international non-proprietary names for drug, and in short it is known as INN system of drug. So, let us start with this. We will have this INN system, which is the international non-proprietary naming of the different class of drugs. So, in our previous lectures we already discussed about the different category and class of drugs along with the disease. So, here we are going to take about the chemical naming as per IUPAC, then we have the trade name, or then we have the generic name. So, INN system is nothing but it is the brand name of the drug. So, these are the drugs which are generally marketed by different pharma companies, their manufacturing companies by their brand names, though there is a legal requirement to mention their generic name as well in the labels or the leaflet, or we can say the brochure with the marketed products we have. I hope you all seen the leaflet which is there, or the inserts in the packet with the finished product, okay, which will tell you about the caution, where to store the drug, okay, their manufacturing or the expiry date. Okay. Then different countries have their own system of generic nomenclature for different API molecules. API here is the active pharmaceutical ingredient, which is considered here to be as a different class of drugs, or we can say nomenclature system for various pharmaceutical substances. However, owing to the various languages used by different national nomenclature system, there is a need, or we can say there is an urgent need requirement to have a unified or uniform standard system for generic name that are accepted globally or worldwide, and this would help in identifying the composition of the pharmaceutical substance. Okay. From that generic name we are having an idea if it is globally acceptable or uniform globally. We have an idea about the nature or the class of chemical compound which are used to form a medicament. Then international non-proprietary name of different class of drug. The WHO administers an international generic nomenclature system which is called as, in short, the international non-proprietary name, that is INN system, and it is also known as small r INN. Small r here stands for recommended. Okay, students. So, recommended international non-proprietary names for drug, and also the P small p capital INN, that is proposed international non-proprietary name. Okay. So, INN, you know, the international non-proprietary name. This system facilitate the identification of various different pharmaceutical substances or the API, active pharmaceutical ingredients, which are going to be used in the formulation of specific medicament and further used for the treatment of different disorders. So, each INN is a unique name. INN is the international non-proprietary naming system. It is a unique name that is globally recognized and is a public property. A non-proprietary name is also known as the generic name. So, you have to remember this. INN, international non-proprietary name, is basically for the generic nomenclature or the naming of different class of compounds going to be a formulation used for the formulation of different medicaments for the treatment of various diseases. The INN system and its aim. So, the International Non-Proprietary Nomenclature or the naming system is initiated in 1950s by the WHO, which is the World Health Assembly resolution, and it began operating in 1953. It is a cumulative list of INN now stand at some 7,000 names designated since that time. We are having at that time means in 1953 only 120 to 150 nomenclature or the naming of drugs were there. Now, we have more than 7,000 names of different API molecules. These are basically formulated the INN nomenclature system to provide the healthcare professionals with a unique and universally available designated name or the nomenclature to identify the different class of drug or the pharmaceutical or the chemical substance. And it is also used the INN system for the clear identification, safe formulation of prescription and the safe dispensing of medicines to the patients. Because our ultimate goal is to have ensure that we have to work in the safety or the efficacy of healthcare towards the general population. The INN system and its aim, next in continuation, this is basically also used for the better and easy communication and exchange of information amongst the healthcare professionals and the various research scientists globally. The non-proprietary name are intended for the use in pharmacy or we can say the pharma companies for the better or we can say the correct systematic labeling formation to include the product information in the brochure and the leaflet for its better advertising. The advertising companies also use this INN system and other promotional materials also. Next, the INN system is also playing an important role in the drug regulation and required for the scientific literature study and as a basis for product name, means the generic name while making your research work or in the publication also we have to give its the drug name in its generic nomenclature. For example, the generic nomenclature classification system. Now, coming to the trade name and non-proprietary names. Non-proprietary names, you know, INN system, International Non-Proprietary Name, in short it is INN system. Okay. The trade name means the brand name of different class of drug. So, most of the products means we are here talking about the medicament or the chemical which are used to treat intended for the human beings for the treatment purpose basically. So, most of the products available on the market nowadays are very well advertised, promoted and identified by their trade names, trade name or their brand name, both are similar, okay, but this is different from the generic or the INN system. In pharmaceutical field, the trade names are used when we are going to prescribe any drug, to dispense any drug to different class of patients, in the selling, in the promotion of that particular drug or also in buying a medicament. So, trade names are usually selected by the owner of the product. Remember this student, the trade name or the brand name basically selected by the owner of the product and it is registered in the national trademark or in the patent offices. They are private property of the owner and this can be used only with the consent of the owner of that particular trademark who took this particular medicament or the class of chemical drug they can give its trade name. Various trade names for one substance are available, already you know, like for example, PCM is the paracetamol. We are having different formulations in the market available for the analgesic, this NSAID drug paracetamol. Next is the non-proprietary names are intended to be used as a public property without any restraint, means without any hindrance or restriction. This generic drug can be in the whole sale as well as in the retail shop. It is available for the use for the public property. These names are usually designated by national or international nomenclature commission system. Next, non-proprietary names are designations to identify the active pharmaceutical drug, or we can say the API, active pharmaceutical ingredient of that particular drug moiety or the chemical substance, rather than the final or the finished marketed product. So, I hope you get this point. The generic name or the non-proprietary names are designations to identify the API, the main bioactive compound of the drug or the substance, apart from that of the final product. Because students, when we are talking about the finished or the final product, we are not having only the API with that, we are having various other additives, preservatives or excipients with that, which is not having any pharmacological or therapeutic action, but these are very important or essential for the ultimate formulation of that particular product form. So, the selection of a non-proprietary name follows or established rules, so that the name itself communicates to the medical and the pharmaceutical health professionals to which the active drug substance belong. Means the all physician, pharmacist or healthcare professionals select the different generic drug according to the condition of the patient. Means the particular patient is affected from this morbidity or mortality condition, the drug can be selected according to the generic name, and the further information or communication can be passed to their patient, to the pharmacist, to the healthcare professional, to the executive PV executive members who collect the data from the patient about their therapeutic as well as risk related, the patient who is taking particular drug or reporting their side effects to the PV executive. PV means pharmacovigilance executive members. These are all stakeholders of pharmacovigilance or the healthcare associatives. So, it means the selection of generic name is basically required for the easy systematic communication of the information passage to the medical and pharmaceutical healthcare professional to which the API belongs. Next, coming to the selection of international non-proprietary classification of drug. As the name suggests, the INN system, it is basically used for the to know the status of an INN are selected by the WHO, World Health Organization, on the advice of various regulatory experts from the WHO Expert Advisory Panel on the International Pharmacopoeia and Pharmaceutical Preparations. Okay, so, I hope you know about the pharmacopoeias. We have various universally acceptable monographs like BPC, British Pharmacopoeial Codex, and USP, IP, BP. So, we have to follow this pharmacopoeias for the formulation or the compilation, or if we need any detailed summary or the information about any generic drug, we have to follow these pharmacopoeias. Okay. And this is also required for the further pharmaceutical companies to further preparation of different class of other drugs. The process of INN selection follows the following three main steps. The first one is a request, or there is an application form prepared and sent by the manufacturer or the pharma companies, or also by the investigator who investigated this API, or give its INN or the generic name of that particular chemical compound. The second step is, after a proper thorough review, systematic review panel is made to check that particular application, review of the request of a proposed INN. Why it is proposed here? Because it is under review process, students. So, sometimes the another terminology, the draft, INN draft can be used also here in the second step of selection of INN system. So, in the time of reviewing of the application by the manufacturer or the inventor, a proposed INN naming is selected, and this is if suited for everyone, it is published for receiving further comments for that particular product. And the third step, after completing a real time or the time period for accepting the comments, both for positive and negative comments, for objections also, this completing this time gap has lapsed, the name will obtain the status of a recommended INN, and this name will be published as such if no further objection has been raised. Since the name is available in the public domain, it may be used now freely. However, it should not be registered till as a trademark, since this would prevent its use by other parties also. Okay. So, these are major three steps for the selection of the generic name of any newly discovered synthesized API molecule or the drug or the chemical compound now going to be used for the healthcare prospects of human beings. Next is the selection of INN. How? After clearing these three steps, what are the next, how it can be applied? Then INN is designated for the active part of the molecule only, because it is a generic name. We are again talking about the API, the active pharmaceutical or the bioactive compound of the drug. So, the active part of the molecule, to avoid the multiplication of entries in cases where several different salts are also used, different functional groups are also attached for increasing its lipophilicity, then water hydrophilicity, to pass the blood various barriers we have, blood brain barriers, blood testis barrier, blood placental barriers. We are going to change various functional groups in the main nucleus moiety, okay, by adding various salts or esterification. So, these step is known as to students the derivatization. Okay. When we are going to change or modify the basic, or we can say the API molecule, this is known as the derivatization. So, this cannot be used here. Okay. We are going to talk about only the API or the active part of the drug only. So, these are actually used. In such cases, the number of the INN has to create a modified INN, which is known as INNM, capital, all capital. INNM means International Non-Proprietary Naming for modified. Modified means now the API can be derivatized after attached with various salts or esters. Okay. For example, mepyramine maleate. Okay. It is a salt of mepyramine with malic acid. So, this is not at this time is not getting any generic name. The primary principle for selection is distinctive in sound and spelling. Okay. So, the generic name as per INN system given and selected is distinctive and in sound as well as easy, short, in short sound, spelling should be easy, it should not be too long, not liable to get any confusion, means it is the naming is not similar or contradictory to any other compound. Okay. Not liable to get any confusion with any other names in common use. For example, one example, anti-inflammatory agents. The drug here is this is coming ibuprofen, okay, or ibufenac derivative. It is a NSAID, non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs under the category of COX-2 inhibitors. COX is the cyclooxygenase, COXIBs in short. So, COX-2 inhibitor, the example of the drug is ibufenac derivative used as anti-inflammatory drug. It is a type of NSAID. It is they do not select names for those substances that have a long history of use for medical purposes under well established name such as those of alkaloids. This is a completely herbal source. Alkaloid you heard about, like one example, morphine, codeine, this is completely natural alkaloids, or any trivial chemical names. Trivial means the general, not any specific classification, no IUPAC, okay, no chemical classification system is followed. Trivial means the traditional or the folklore naming for that particular chemical compound. For example, the acetic acid. Okay. So, the last para tells you about for the selection of INN the generic name, do not select any name for different substance or the class of drugs that have long history of use already in the medical purposes under well established name like morphine and codeine, highly used from the ancient time for the relief of pain. You know, these are potent analgesic agents. Now, coming to the use of INN classification of drugs in India. What is the current scenario if we are talking about our country India? So, in India, under the section 13B of the Trademark Act TMA, you have to remember this 13B Trademark Act from the 1999, they prohibit the restriction of names of chemical elements or simply the international non-proprietary names which have been declared by the WHO and also notified by the registrar of the trademark as per 1999 rule. Nevertheless, they are reported, there are several incidents already reported related to the marketing of different class of drugs under names that are similar to the INN nomenclature of classification of drug. The WHO has brought the same to the attention to the DCGI, that is Drug Controller General of India. The basic requirement of section 13B of the Trademark Act as per 1999 is that the INN must be notified before its use by the registrar. Okay. So, this is the complete scenario or the condition of current INN system or the use of generic names of different class of drugs in India. The use of INN as a trademark also constitute a problem in two ways. First one is the use of part of INN in trademark, and this can further dilute that INN system by creating confusion in the drug nomenclature. The second one is since the trademark enjoy the legal protection unlike the INN nomenclature of drug, the use of INN system in the trademark may thwart the coining of new INN system in the future, which further results or use the common stem where a trademark owner opposes the INN nomenclature. And this is because in the selection of INNs it is ensured that the rights of trademark owner are not affected through this INN nomenclature system. And the use of INN to coin the brand name is required and used widely. And this is all about today's lecture. See you in our next lecture. Thank you.